Benvenuti a tutti alla Wisdom.
Welcome everyone to the Wisdom Week, to the beginning of this week dedicated to the beautiful topic of awareness. In the meantime, con te Orango, con te and con voi everyone. Okay, so as I was saying, welcome everyone. Today, we are going to start this interesting week of meditations, exercises, a week dedicated to knowledge and research, and so together we will explore different topics, elements, sciences, as well as the Damanhurian topics that can be useful for us so as to reinforce and strengthen our consciousness, our awareness, our desire to be here and to feel alive. Essentially, interesting things that can help us live better and create a life that can fully satisfy us. So how will we do all of this? Now, you will receive the information through a series of emails and messages, but in any case, we are going to meet in the evening of this week, today, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. And we will dedicate more or less an hour to all these interesting topics I mentioned. The program is really an exciting journey, and it starts tonight with the topic of living the moment, synchronicity, and awareness, and then all of this will make us jump inside of a new aspect. On Wednesday, we will explore the aspect of rebirth, opening a new cycle, how to find the methods, the energy, the strength and power to open ourselves up to something new. On Friday, we will dedicate our time to the topic of dream, lucid dreams, dreaming. What does it mean? A dream for Damanhur, but we will also do practical exercises to help us prepare for the night to dream, and that on Sunday we will explore alchemy and desires. So together we will explore the world of alchemy. All of this, we will remind you of the different exercises of the program multiple times, many times through emails and messages. We will remind you of it both in this video as well as in other future emails. And then of course, if you happen to have doubts or a question, feel free to reach out to us and let us know. So as I was saying before, this is an exciting week dedicated to us, to awareness, and our desire to transform and improve ourselves, to find ways that can guide us and help us in such an interesting age. This is a very interesting moment of time. A moment that makes us ask ourselves so many questions, but that rarely offers answers. And so something that can help us understand and extract what these answers could be and how to extract the interesting parts from such an interesting age. Sometimes it'll happen that people might face the events that the society and the world is presenting, and these events might just cause us to ask ourselves questions and wonder, why are these things even happening? What is the purpose of them? What is the useful thing of them? But this is a world that constantly offers us opportunities, sometimes through a series of more dangerous paths and other times exciting ones. So today with Orango, we are going to talk about living the moment, living with presence, being present to everything that happens with us, but also knowing how to ride the synchronic waves of life, while also trying to find meaningful and useful paths and answers. So that's what we'll focus on, how to find paths and ways that can be interesting and useful, that can help us live the life we wish to live. So I will ask our beautiful Orango some questions, but of course, if you have questions, please write them. And I'd say that we are ready to start. We are more than ready to start. And so Orango, let me ask you the very first question, and then I'm also going to ask you to introduce yourself to us and let us know something about you. But the very first question, which I think everyone wants an answer to, is this famous moment, this famous present, the here and now, that is so often described in different traditions, books by many authors. Lots of podcasts and books are dedicated to it. But what is it actually? How do you live it? And how can we today, in the moment and in the world we live in, how can we truly, successfully live the moment and live everything that happens to us? This is the first question, and also let us know some things about you. Let's start this interesting night. Thank you for the beautiful opportunity. It is a very interesting moment, a useful one, and beautiful because it offers a chance to exchange with whoever is synchronically here, whoever is synchronically searching for answers, or that perhaps one to extract something from their life. I am a spiritual researcher. I was born several years ago, and my background is actually in IT. So I was one of those that really was in favor of focusing on technology to improve our life. So what today would be essentially AI. And then eventually I left this world to instead focus on the world of humans. And I'm talking about the 70s at this point. I ended up meeting Falco Tarassaco, Roberto Airaudi, and I was part of the group that founded Damanhur. And essentially all my experiences and knowledge is something that I was able to extract from these years of experience. So they are definitely not knowledge and elements only written in books, but they're really extracted from 50 and plus years of life shared and lived with so many others. So the validity of everything we will tell you is the fact that we share essentially what we experience ourselves. We don't take these information from books that are more or far or less far away from us in time, from the Upanishad or other traditions. This is a type of teaching, a type of knowledge that I hope you will be able to feel how true it is. That's going to help you activate these elements in your life as well. These years of experience, essentially my life in the last 50 and plus years has been based on the study and research of communication. That was my main area of focus, as well as another focus dedicated to the world of energies, because I discovered that essentially what we live is about 4% of what's actually out there. That 96% has always been very interesting for me and very fascinating. And so I really wanted to dedicate some time and energy in trying to understand what truly moves our existence, and essentially how to be protagonists of this experience, of this life, or at least be able to catch a different version and vision of this exciting reality. So this reality is based on a concept, an exciting one, which is the fact that everything that exists is part of the moment I'm living. So it should not be research, it should not be looked for in the yesterday or in the tomorrow. Even though, of course, exploring the past as well as the future can help us be even more present in the here and now. But we have to once again consider another fundamental aspect, because words can help us, but they can also push us away and create more distance between us and our goal. So the consciousness is the process, essentially what leads us from point A to point B. It is what can help us understand where we are, point A, and define where we want to go, point B. My goal is this path of knowledge, so it's a process to perceive, essentially. So to reawake the senses. The true, real mission of our life is to reawake the senses. The gods, the divinities that live in us, the divine part that is inside all of us is already awake. But it's me that, of course, inadvertently ended up putting a veil over it and pushed it to the side. And so it's up to us now to unveil this bright inner light we contain and essentially allow it to come out, to complete what some traditions call the process of reawakening, what we define as the perception of the active consciousness, essentially that point that reconnects us to all the vital manifestations in the universe. The essence, the moment, is essentially in this type of behavior, in knowing that it's up to me to unveil, so to get rid of the veils that cover the light that's already inside me. So this moment, as you're listening to my voice, as you're here, you are in this process, in this space and time, in the ideal space and time and moment to discover something new about yourself. And if you can catch it, if you can accept it and welcome it, then all of this is going to push you away from the dimension of those that search for something to instead enter in the dimension of those that found something. So I invite you to join us and stay with us for the entirety of our evenings, because what can help you is not so complex after all. It's actually just in a very simple sentence, in a very simple quote that I am going to share with all of you, and it's something that I've always told all my students. The secret to live the moment is in participating to what happens while having fun. Each one of these words has a specific and deep meaning. It activates these concepts in us, because what represents the aspect of fulfillment is the action, doing. It's in doing that you can live the moment, not in thinking. The moment in which you meditate, you just gather in your own world, that's a moment to prepare. That's a moment where you can prepare lots of interesting and useful aspects. So, of course, techniques of meditations are extremely useful, but they're all actions of preparation, and then you need to actually catch the moment. That's when you open your eyes and perform an action. You enter in a state of trance, which in this case means a phenomenon of attention, and you discover in this case what attention is. To catch that moment and move from the mind to the body, which is the sensorial instruments, which is really the most active one, the most active sensorial instrument, and so it can allow you to participate to what is happening to you while having fun. It means that there is no need to do extravagant things. Everything you felt, perceived, is already part of the instant you are participating in. The instant, the moment you are living. You are a magic creation, and then if that you can also connect to others and it becomes a we, then that's another extra fundamental step, because the others offer the relation, the possibility to connect, which is something fundamental. So participating to what happens while having fun also requires a group, someone to meet, someone to be with. Even if it's just a random meeting as you walk down the street. So even if right now in your life, where you are, you're just walking down the street, perhaps try and stop someone, offer them to hear this evening, to hear this moment with you. Perhaps they might reject you at first, perhaps instead they will accept it. Of course, it's always up to you, and it's up to how much you're able to freshly enter in this moment. The instant that contains the secret of your enlightenment is what you're living. It's not a moment before, it's not a moment after. It's in the being able to enter with determination inside of yourself. And this is what life taught me, and this is what allows me to live every instant of my life playfully, because life is really just one big game. And you have to be able to take yourself a little less seriously. Today, we're all a little shocked, perhaps a little numbed by strong, clear messages, affirmations. But all of this ends up distracting us from what's actually important, from what life is gifting us, which is this moment. Now, there are useful elements to enter inside of this fleeting moment, because it's actually already gone, right? And here comes another moment that just flies right in front of me, that goes through me, and that the high level of consciousness, so the process to distill consciousness, which is what we want to focus on, is at the dimension of the space-time, because at this point, space and time are essentially considered one big dimension. It's like looking at what happens to us from different perspectives and different points of view, either space or time, but anyways, all of this is still. It's us moving in it, us moving in time, us writing changes, which is then what allows us to catch these moments. Essentially, the moment is that process, that instant in which I'm able to change, and by changing, the mystic opera happens in me, which is I feel alive, I perceive. Time and space are still. It's just an illusion. This movement and flow we imagine, because we imagine that time flows, but no, time is connected to space. And as you know very well, the space is still, and so is time. It's you, it's all of us moving in it, transitioning and flowing in time. Now, what we experienced as a series of educational mechanisms, but just through the different ages of humanity, with its more or less positive aspects that we're going to leave behind us so as to approach a new age, which is the one we are entering in, is that we were raised, we were educated to live a past present. So a present that's already gone, that's already in the past, for a series of different reasons. But in any case, reasons that have to do with educational processes, as well as fears and frustrations, some specific needs instead of others. And so instead of becoming the protagonists in living what the body is actually meant and designed to live, the eyes look in front of us, the ears here in front of you, what needs to happen, what is about to happen, the future is the source, the container of your certainties, not of your fears. In any case, the educational process actually inverted the process, and so tomorrow has become the place that contains our fears. And so to defend ourselves, we fell into this trap. We ended up numbing the perception, so our senses, and we fell into our past. So in this present, that's already past. I'm talking to you, but the references I'm using, your home, your parents, your companions, your friends, the different places you spend time in, as soon as I mention them, like your home, for example, automatically all of these things attract inside you an image, which is your personal home. I'm just talking about a different home. Perhaps it might be my home. The one that if you live in the moment that is happening right now, you can transform because you perceive it in a different way. You feel it in a different way. So now the opportunity we have in this new age is to essentially retrieve this mystic dimension, to distance ourselves from the past, knowing that that's already part of us because it's deposited inside of our physical body. And so it's then translated in a series of perhaps arthroses, contractions, and etc. Perhaps instead sometimes a fluidity and elasticity. That's if you're using your body properly. But in any case, it's not really in the brain. That's where we have the linear sequence, the emotions, what you actually experienced is in the body. So the past is in your body. And we can forgive ourselves as well as reassure ourselves with what we experienced, but we also have to keep in mind that the important things are in front of us, what we have yet to experience. We can enter in this new dimension, the present, future. To live the moment means to respect the form. To be able to approach it, you need to purify yourself, essentially. So now, 1, 2, 3. The past is gone. Say goodbye to it and try to start and imagine that in the future, there's your happiness. It's right there. All the opportunities you can still catch to improve your life, to fulfill your dreams and yourself, to collect what in some ways is going to be gifted to you. Because if you're still alive, and remember that the maturity is in observing life from the point of death and wondering, how much time do I have left? Be generous with yourself and imagine that you have a lot of time left. And a lot of time means many useful opportunities. This is the base, the foundation, which is absolutely fundamental to ride the fleeting moment and to enter in the process of synchronicity, which essentially is everything we call luck, potentials, events, new events, renewed events. It's already here around us. We just have to catch them. We are inside of an Eden, and we essentially need to learn how to perceive its existence because we constantly create it and co-create it and recreate it. If we think we are in a disastrous world full of challenges and difficulties, well, we are going to make sure that everything that happens around us is essentially going to be made of that. If we think that we are instead in a flower garden and all we need to do is raise our hand and catch and collect everything we need, that's how we can transform everything that surrounds us, because as you know, our ideas are what fills the reality, what makes us enter in the reality. But to catch and collect everything that's already here around us, I need to feel. I need to perceive. So I need to distance myself from all of those distractions that instead today are being presented to us constantly. Things that make us think that, for example, the day is just a hobby, but it's not. It's the ideal instrument to jump inside of life. First of all, playing means living, participating. Life is one big game. We said this before. And in this case, games are extremely useful to really jump in the present moment. So, expressing the dream of freedom, which is something that has become really the pillar of so many people that fought to reach it, to receive it, is something that sometimes ends up limiting our idea that you are a free man or woman. You can participate your life freely with a lot of determination if you reawake your senses, if you decide to use the knowledge that today, luckily, humanity has been able to distill, preserve, and extract. Today, we know that, well, we know, for example, why a good meditation can make us ride and use our delta or theta waves so as to become more efficient, so as to harmonize our inner organs. Today, thanks to the neurosciences, we know more processes of life. We know so much more that yesterday were perhaps only the result of intuitions. Not much has changed, but at least, or we could say that not much changes unless all of this becomes part of your nature. So if all of us together, if we don't decide to actually consider that everything we need is already part of the instant you are living. So, move away from the process that makes you think you have to prepare for something. No, you're ready right now to enlighten yourself. You're ready to live the moment right now. What is living the moment? Essentially, reawakening our senses so as to participate to what is happening while having fun, playfully. Start to reflect on this process, which may sound even too simple at first, but instead of focusing on what you don't have, which is frustrating, right, isn't it? Of course, there are things that perhaps you would want to have and that you don't have right now, but you don't have them right now because you don't yet need them. If you needed them, you'd have them. Life would have made certain you'd get these things. You'd have them right now in your life. Right now, you essentially have everything you need to be. Some mistake the affirmation having and being and end up mixing the two terms as if they were almost interchangeable. But the way of doing is being. So to be able to be, you have to do. Doing, well, of course, always finding the right vision of things, creating harmony as you do these things. But let's do an exercise together, which is a meditation. What do you think, Antello? So we can better understand what's behind everything I'm describing, essentially. Let's do it, yes. Okay. So close your eyes. Try to close your eyes because you should open and close them. Open them again, close them again. Notice what's happening inside of you as you're closing your eyes. Now, it's not fundamental in order to meditate to actually have your eyes closed, but I will tell you something more about this towards the end of our evening as I also leave you with some homework or some fun exercises. In any case, right now, close your eyes. and leave them closed. And try to perceive the weight of your eyelids, because they do have their own weight, and when you close them they can relax and they can better extend all the muscles of the face that help you do one of those very important things in life, which is to move you from the different nervous systems, the sympathetic, and all those interesting theories, all of those parts that are essential for us, and start to become aware that this moment is acquiring its own density inside you. You need to tranquilize the processes connected to your memories. Okay, well then catch the first beautiful moment that comes to you. If you think about your past, what's the first image that comes to mind? What's the first beautiful moment that comes to mind now? The very first thing that came to mind. Consider it as a pleasant moment of your past. Try and perceive which emotions it brings back in the body. No matter what is happening in this memory, it's okay. No matter what is not happening, that's also okay. You maybe feel nothing, doesn't matter. Try and stay close to that memory. Perhaps you feel a numbing sensation, tingling sensation. Just pay attention to what your body is telling you as you're remembering this. And then catch another difficult moment of your life. Think about a difficult memory. Is it a moment of disappointment? A moment of pain? A different kind of memory, but again, pay attention to what the body experiences as you're remembering it. This can help us enter in a different type of nervous system, so as to live an experience that characterizes the moment. Because I am alive right now, in this point of the space-time. But in some ways, my memories continue to function and work. They're operative, and so are my probable futures. And so once again now, look for a beautiful moment, an even more intense one, an even stronger one that comes to mind as you think about your life. Do it now. Another beautiful memory, another beautiful moment. What came to mind? What is now filling your heart? And try to really think about it and remember it with your heart. Move down inside you and remember it with your heart, which is the most powerful point we have. It is a point with such a strong electromagnetic field, definitely a lot stronger than the brain's electric field. Thinking with the heart. The heart is an organ of the senses, a fundamental one for our philosophy. It is, in our philosophy, an actual organ of sense. So go down there, perceive it. You can almost feel it as a weight or a color at the center of your chest, perhaps. Instead, you feel it and perceive it as a sound. But focus on it. Move down there and listen to your needs from there. What do you feel right now? If perhaps you miss some things, let my voice guide you through it. It's important to participate to what is happening while having fun. We are traveling through different suggestions. They are the main road that can lead us to live the moment. And now, let this sort of activation of the physical body, let it expand. Feel what your feet are feeling, what your ankles are feeling, your legs. And take a deep breath. The breath can also help you. It can help you connect with your body more. So breathe. Slow, deep breaths. And if you can, breathe out from your mouth. Breathe in through the nose, breathe out through the mouth. Take long, deep breaths so as to connect yourself with the dimension of the space-time. The breath is the first engine for our profound, deep inner changes. What are you feeling right now? This is the base, the foundation of living the moment, entering in the body. participating to what the body is experiencing, joining and feeling it. That's the secret of these processes of perception and attention. Are you able to stay in the body? Is it simple? Is it natural? Of course, it'll happen that the mind will jump back in, will offer other kinds of thoughts, will present them to you, but let them flow right in front of you as if they were images of a video, of a movie, but don't make them your own. Let them flow and float away. Instead, focus your attention always on the body and what the body is feeling and perceiving. What the body is feeling is the art that can connect us to those deep processes of perception and freeing, essentially unveiling that part of us, unveiling that inner light from everything that is now preventing it from fully manifesting itself. Everything you need to reach your goal, to reawake your consciousness through a process of reawakening is part and belongs to this moment. Everyone that is telling you you need something else, a before and an after, well, they're kind of just distancing you from yourself. And now paint a beautiful smile on your face and complete this very brief meditation with a thought. Everything we connected with our yesterday sees and asks our future. So if you could perhaps move closer to the very first moments of your life, and then to your adolescent year, perhaps you still are in adolescence, but in any case, think from those moments that you are your future. You can reassure these parts of you by telling them, hey, I'm still alive over there. Feel it and express this consciousness, this awareness, this process. You are still alive. And you can reassure your past by telling it, yes, things perhaps could have gone better, but things went well because I'm still here. And I'm also having fun. Otherwise, you would have not decided to join us and stay with us for this event, for this evening. So reassure this part of you and reassure your future parts that you still wish to continue to live. And that you want to make it so that the quality of the life, the quality of the moments that will follow, will just continue to improve. And to do all of this, you once again need to enter in your body. Reconnect with those processes of attention because they're the ones that allow us to ride those synchronic opportunities. Essentially what life presents to us as opportunities that can teach us, that can make us learn what happiness is. And now when you feel ready, take a deep breath. A very long, deep breath, and then take a second and a third one. 3 beautiful, long, deep breaths. Follow your rhythm, but take these 3 long, deep breaths. And then after the third one, open your eyes. And if you can, open one eye before the other, because the cognitive science also teaches us that reappropriating of the separate use of our left and right side is something that can excite the brain, something that can help us reintegrate, reconnect the right hemisphere with the left one, the masculine side with the feminine side that's inside all of us. Okay, and now that we're all back, even Antelo is back, and he's half enlightened at this point. He's learned to participate to what happens while having fun. So now know something very important, which is that the attention, what we used during this phase, is almost like a gameplay. It resides in focusing on one point as you're instead looking at everything that surrounds it. So the exercise, the homework I'm asking you to work on at home, to live and catch the moment, to live this fleeting moment, is essentially this. Walk down the street in a sort of trance-like state. Now, you don't need to do anything extravagant, of course, or you don't need to do anything dangerous. But it's a moment of trance because it expands your senses. And it's actually pretty simple to do, to sustain. And it actually ends up activating all of those processes that can turn off the distractions that instead prevent you from freeing that inner light. Of course, I'm not asking you to do this 24 hours every day, but as you walk down the street in multiple moments during your day, do this exercise. Focus on one point, as if you were just focusing on the flame of a candle you see there in the distance. And focus on the very heart of that flame. So focus on one point. Your attention apparently is only focused there, but instead you expand your attention and focus on everything that surrounds that point, everything that surrounds that object. Your eyesight and your focus is set on. If you can also include paying attention to the body, to all of this, then you will be in the moment. It's almost like opening a new door. A door that perhaps up until yesterday you couldn't even perceive, but that from tomorrow, if you wish to ride it, it'll help you and offer you a different taste for this life, different images and colors, different perceptions, perhaps very new ones. And then with the rest of your companions, the ones that will join us through our evenings, through the week, we'll also allow to catch different perspectives. But remember, synchronicity is not really a process we need to attract, but rather it's a force that harmonizes a universal manifestation. It's already here around us. We are inside of a synchronic field. All we need to do is learn to use it. We need to become catalysts of it. Well, think of it as this. The world of magic is like air. You can't see air, but you breathe it. And it allows you to be alive. You don't see synchronicity, but it's already here. It surrounds you. We need to become catalysts of it. And that can happen when you ask, when you require, when you want to use it, to live it, so as to become even more connected, better tuned with the others. How do you do it? Every now and then focus on one object, on one point, expand your perception and feel what happens around you. Perhaps someone is sitting next to you. And you will feel that they're saying, but what's actually going on right now? Something's happening. What's happening is that a human being, in a point of the space-time, is bending the lines of strength and is living. So participating to everything that is happening while having fun. Use these elements I'm sharing with you, and I'm sharing essentially as a soul dedicated to research, because I dedicated more than 50 years to essentially simplifying things that oftentimes instead the world wants to overcomplicate. Life is simple. Life wants to give you objects and elements that can truly help you improve the quality of your existence, of everything that you're expressing, improving your relationships with the others. And all of this is an art. But it's an art that also needs you to get rid of everything that is distracting you. Don't get distracted, participate that everything that is happening to you while having fun. We do have some questions. Yes, first of all, thank you, Orango. Because I personally find it to be very important, very interesting, but I see from people's reaction that I'm not the only one who thinks that way. So, perhaps something that we can also do in our next appointments is that I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and perhaps for these questions I want a very simplified, like you said, answer. So a very straightforward, simplified answer. So we do have some recurring questions. So are you ready to also play with us? I am. Yes. Okay. So for example, someone asked how to stop those flows of recurring thoughts. Oftentimes it happens that you have these recurring thoughts that during the day just distract us and take over us. So when that happens, how can we go back in the present? What do you do when that happens to you, if it does happen to you? Well, of course, it's a classic example of living the past present. All you need to do is let them go instead of nourishing them. When they do appear, or when they do show up, immediately transform. So move your attention on something that's going to happen next, on the following next moment, an instant. These processes, recurring ones, I mean, our thoughts in terms of our neurology only lasts for a very few seconds. So focus your attention on what is about to happen. What's going to happen in the next moment. Thank you. And someone also said, how to be present, how to remain present even when it comes to perhaps those more disastrous situations like wars or natural disasters, like these kinds of events. How should you react to them? How can you still be present, and how to essentially introduce them in the harmony of life? That's the painful part of this historic age that has essentially divided humanity and forces it to also live this painful part in a sort of separate way. Because if we were connected, if we were all united, all of this would just flow over us extremely easily. And instead, of course, we're not there just yet. It is our goal. It's one of the many goals that Damanhur has, to help the world move towards it, so as to create and promote solidarity. Solidarity that can be expressed in many various different ways. The first real type of solidarity, vibrational solidarity, that moves a field, is to know that in this moment, as we are living something beautiful, this moment of exchange and research, right now there's obviously someone that is instead suffering because we are part of a closed system. Accept it and know, become aware that if it's up to you now to live the beautiful part, well, instead someone is experiencing the painful, less beautiful part, then that's your role. And it's up to you to perform that role well. If you live it with consciousness, with awareness, you are respecting even those that are instead now living a less enjoyable moment. We are one group, essentially. And even in us being closed systems too, something painful is happening inside of us, in our body. But if you can do this, if you can perform your task, your role well, then you are doing something for humanity. Live well. If life is generous with you, live well so as to also create a better synchronic wave that then is going to reach those that are instead now performing a different role. Thank you, Orango. And someone is asking, now we are moving into children and adolescents. How, but I think you briefly mentioned this earlier, how can we teach children the good habit of living the moment at a young age? By helping them avoid distractions, because, well, adolescence, our teen years, well, adolescence has always been the moment in which we really start to fulfill ourselves or to manifest who we are. But what we need is to reduce the elements that cause and create distractions. So it's good to avoid or contain, for example, an improper use of images, devices, and etc. And it's also good to teach these youth, essentially, to teach them how to use the hands again. Because in terms of the senses, the hands are the most developed part. The secret, the evolution, the human evolution is really in this movement of our thumb. This is what helps us perform the movement by definition. So it might seem weird, but it is also connected to the process of reawakening. For example, writing. It is really the best example of it, because in this movement that we make when we have to write with an actual pen on a piece of paper, in this movement, this type of movement allows us to connect so many different parts. And it's actually one of those interesting and key movements. It expresses evolution. So playing an instrument is even better, of course, but before we get to that level of complexity, even just writing, even just reducing distractions, these are all extremely useful things to be in the here and now. The secret is in the relation, in the connection. We talk with our children, we stay with them, we play with them, we make sure that there are less virtual moments and more real shared moments. Last question. How can we cultivate the habit of living the moment even while also experiencing our everyday, daily tasks and just the typical routine. Perhaps it's, your typical day full of work and appointments, and you get on the bus and then you get down and you're in a bustling city in this chaos that surrounds you. So what do you do? How do you do it, Orango? It's actually a funny thing. You have to choose something that can induce you towards this path while also referring to the things that you end up meeting more often. So for example, you live in a home, perhaps you work from there because you just work from home, so you just have to stay there, spend a lot of your time there, okay. Every time you move from one room to another, so as you're in between, but there is a threshold, which essentially means the movement from one dimension to the other, stop for a second and go back to feeling with the body again. So make sure that every time you go from one place to another, from one environment to another, that you acquire consciousness again. So stop. Are you perhaps a driver? Perhaps you drive a taxi. Make sure that at every corner, as you are about to move to a different road, a different street, you, for a second, go back in your presence in your body, that you can reconnect to that process as you're stopped at a red light, as you're about to walk inside of a new room and you're on the threshold of it. You're going to have several opportunities to do this, essentially, to re-attract yourself in the presence. Essentially, that means to feel what your body is feeling right now, because every time you do that, every time you pay attention to it, you free and unveil interesting secrets, and it can essentially allow you to reconnect with the present moment. It's a beautiful thing, and I think before I ask you to put a beautiful bow to top this beautiful evening off, I am just going to share some technical information. So then I'm, of course, going to let you say the last interesting and useful things you want to say. But what we just did with Orango is essentially what we will do through the series of other appointments we have programmed to essentially discover, do exercises, meditating, training ourselves so as to improve our wisdom, our knowledge, our awareness, while also exploring and playing with different topics and elements. As I said before, some of them are lucid dreams, dreaming, the use of alchemy, desires, meditations, guided meditations. We will do it in many different ways. We will explore many different things, but the goal is always the same one. We will do it on Wednesday, Friday, and also on Sunday. And this week represents for us a week of study and research. Now, this will be a week during which the world will really push us to extract things from us. Now, it's also an interesting week because it is the Black Friday week, so it's a week in which the world will push us to instead focus a lot more on the distractions that surround us. But so we actually thought it was kind of perfect to dedicate this week to something very different instead, which is the study and the research, and to also reoffer and talk about what are some of our paths of research and knowledge and study that we have here in Damanhur, which are our schools and courses and seminars and etc. This week is a week filled with distractions. We know it. Some of these things that we end up purchasing during this week, perhaps we don't even want them, but they're just too tempting, and so we end up caving in and buy them. But we instead wanted to have fun with it. We wanted to dedicate it to more awareness, to the process of self-improvement, to mention and explore our topics. We will explore them during the week, and we will then do a sort of recap on Sunday. That being said, I want to thank everyone that wrote to us, and I'm going to ask Orango. That's how I often describe it, to essentially put a bow on this beautiful evening, to put the final touch, the cherry on top. So you told us many interesting things. We explored a huge topic. You made us meditate. We had fun. We explored some of our perceptions. So what kind of bow do you want to put on top of all of this? What kind of cherry? How do you want to say goodbye to us? By extracting from what I said, essentially the essence, the heart, The essence is in the fact that we have to consider in such an interesting, curious moment of our life, a curious age, that living the moment means to think that everything you need to enlighten yourself to grow is in the moment, is part of this instant. So, everything you need is everything that's already around you, everything that surrounds you. So look around. What you have around you is there to be used. You don't need to have anything else. What is being told to us is that life is dangerous, difficult, challenging, heavy, and so what distracts us from this weight, from these challenges, enlightens us. But actually, it does the exact opposite. It distracts us and it prevents us from living because it shifts our attention somewhere else. So start to consider that instead everything you do have, everything you do need is already there. It's already part of this instant, both on a physical level as well as on an emotional level and even on a spiritual level. And if we are part of this moment, of this your moment that is your moment, if all of us are part of it, that we are contributing to your spiritual evolution. And you're doing the same for us. But translated into simpler words, it just is happiness. Happiness is welcoming that moment. Living the moment for me has always meant to live and extract the happiness from life. The happiness of what I have. The happiness of what right now is what I need. And therefore, I have and already have. Let's focus on what we have, and we will discover that we do have everything we need. And that's why it's so interesting. This moment is so interesting. It is such an opulent moment of time. And perhaps all of us here have the beautiful, lucky opportunity to have more than we might need. Of course, there are people that still don't have that. But if even those that are right now suffering are able to catch this aspect, and even that discomfort, that violence, that pain that some of you mentioned in a question, that is part of the process, the evolutionary process. Well, if everyone could live that dimension, fulfill and feel essentially this as a role, we would have a different perspective on life. We would be able to really jump forward so as to recreate humanity, this huge, gigantic, magic mirror that should be considered as one big entity, one big inhabited body. But essentially, for you, luckily, your role is to enjoy even our presence and to use it as your element. So live this moment with happiness, playfully. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for sharing some time with us. It is something that makes us very happy, and this is our main goal, to gift and share something to and with the others, because we know that life is just constant exchange, and so your presence has an influence on everything we are then able to extract and create and fulfill. But really it is our goal to help make people feel happier. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Orango, and thank you, everyone. We are going to see you again on Wednesday, and we'll see you very soon. Enjoy the rest of your day, and convoy. Yes, participate to what happens while having fun. Beautiful. Thank you, everyone. Convoy.